Yes, it's been a really interesting season. It's been a season where we've had the opportunity to talk about the future of the internet. Now, we're going to be talking about Web3. Now, the future of the internet, Web3, where does this all come together? Now, that term encompasses a multitude of areas spanning across crypto, non fungible tokens or NFTs, decentralized autonomous organizations, DeFi, even the metaverse. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, we'll have a little insight into some of the key differences between what Web 1, Web 2, and what is now known as Web 3 actually is, where the term came from, and of course, how it is being used in real time. We have with us, joining us all the way from SA, Brent Peterson. Now, he is the SA operations and legal lead at Easy Crypto. Thank you so much for joining us, Brett.
Thank you so much, Titi. I really appreciate it. And good evening to all your listeners.
So it's been an interesting journey for the internet. It's been a really interesting journey for technology in general. We understand, especially on one hand with blockchain and crypto, it's generated global acceptance now. But on the other hand, Web3 has become a catch all term for the vision of a new and better internet. Talk to us a little bit about how Easy Crypto has been able to use the advantages of Web3 in their services.
Sure thing. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I think maybe just to give the listeners a keen idea in terms of how we've developed to this particular point, one of the things that we need to consider obviously is that we formulated or started off with a web one, so to speak. And that essentially lasted, from 1991 up to 2004, and it literally comprised of static information that enabled users, or rather consumers at that particular point in time, to read information only. There was no such thing as being able to log in or being having the ability to be able to interact with posts. And during that particular time, and as technology naturally developed with features and applications, we've now moved over to the phase of Web 2, which is essentially commenced from 2004 till to date. And, during this time, the web has evolved significantly with a bunch of different types of applications and features. And that moved from more of an information based, or the ability to consume information, to actually being able to create content, to provide content, and to be able to engage to a certain extent. And that's how things developed with what we call now, or as we know, as social media platforms, and those types of engagement platforms, blog posts, video platforms. All those things are what we define as Web 2. Now, Web 3 is quite the interesting part, because it's not actually implemented as yet. But in terms of the current work in progress, I would say there's no definition. But in my view, it probably can be best described as the next iteration of the internet, which uses the ability to be able to read, write, and own your actual own content and virtual assets online. So that actually makes it quite interesting, because we're moving away from the ownership component in the traditional sense of having physical ownership, now over to a virtual or digitization ownership category. And that is where the Web3 catch-all comes into play. And I think for purposes of easycrypto.com, our ability to be able to offer or have a platform that engages these particular services is actually directly linked to our ability to offer a certain amount of cryptocurrency, or what we call alternative coins. And the essentials of being able to offer that particular service really boils down to the principles of of blockchain technology, and the fact that it's decentralized. So that is the intention, or the principles essentially underline Web3. And that's where crypto finds its place. So if we talk about these principles, decentralization in today's age, it kind of ties in with the ability and the infrastructure to host or have popular type of applications and internet sites that were traditionally owned or controlled by corporations or governments in a certain extent. But Web3 gives the users the option to be able to use the blockchain technology more specifically as a method of storing data online, which is owned by a particular user and individual. So our objective at Easy Crypto is essentially to use Web3 to allow our customers or clients, so to speak, the opportunity to be able to buy specific types of alternative coins that have its own purpose and place in Web3. And that obviously ranges from the different types of alternative coins or altcoins, for short, that we call it, that we have on offer. So it's based on the user's experience and understanding of what underlines that particular cryptocurrency or coin, so to speak.
Okay. So I have to ask at this point, happens to some of those specifically, and maybe give an example of how or why it's so important, uh, Web3 and this coin for them to function, and for users to be able to understand how important it is.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. The variety of coins that is available is essentially based on the type of, I would say, objective or goal that that particular user is seeking. So if we're talking about specific types of, cryptocurrency, we want to talk about Web3 types of coins, and that is the what provides
Mm.
various types of services that actually replaces, funny enough, cloud providers, computization, bandwidth, storage, identification, hosting services. So all these coins have a
Mm.
unique category or service that they offer. And I would say the popular on the rise Web3 coins would be Helium, which is
Mm.
abbreviated as HNT, and that's a people's network that provides a decentralized peer-to-peer wireless network. You have Chainlink, for
Okay.
example, which is a blockchain middleware that allows smart contracts to access a vital, I would say, off-chain resource such as data feeds, even web
Mm.
APIs as well. There's also, I would call it theater, not theater, is a dispense
Theta.
network intended. Yeah, theater, there we go. Sorry. That actually is a dispense network intended for video streaming. So these are all
Mm.
the use cases and functionalities that these types of coins can offer. But I would always suggest, depending on the user, to understand the principle or base of that particular cryptocurrency, and if it aligns with their particular objective and what they're seeking to do with it as well.
Mm. So now there's so many cases. So you could be an end user, but then you could also invest in the coin or the company that puts together the token or the coin.
Correct.
Which has Easy Crypto done? Is Easy Crypto in some kind of partnership or linkage or collaboration with some of the owners of these coins, before just making sure that it's part of their system? Did you go a step further than just letting your users have access to Web3 coins?
So the best way to do it in terms of identification of the types of coins that we offer up to 160 altcoins, and easycrypto.com was essentially established and found its basis in New Zealand. So what we've done is they've had quite a bit of success in terms of being able to offer a range of coins. But I can tell you for sure that we do not, I would say, endorse, so to speak, or have a
Mm.
collaborative association with the owners or the individuals that minted these coins or established them. Our offer is simply to be able to provide specific types of cryptocurrency which we believe has its source in a white paper that's legitimate, credible, it
Mm.
has the opportunity to grow, and that is what we want to be able to provide to, our customers who have an appetite for a more particular type of coin. So, with that being said,
Mm.
with the range that we offer is not in relation to any sort of association. It's more of the identification, understanding its purpose, and whether that aligns with what we intend to do or the service that we offer, and make that available essentially to
Mm.
customers who'd like to purchase those types of altcoins or crypto assets.
Fantastic. That does make me feel a lot more comfortable working with a company like yours. It does give me a little bit more reassurance, especially with regards this issue of risk. But apart from having more control over your data, more control over your privacy, how can individuals benefit financially for three? So some just buying coins, which is great. We understand the volatility of the market goes up and down depending on what's happening. But how can individuals like myself, hearing about it now and the fact that it's the future, how can we benefit financially on Web3?
Well, that's a very good question. So I think, one of the things to be able to have the opportunity to invest in these types of coins, or the opportunity that Web3 presents, is the fact that it really boils down to the ownership capability. So if you are, for example, a owner of your own data, that gives you the ability to put content out and to be able to actually earn some sort of return on it if it generates, say, for instance, a significant amount of interest, or feeds that people actually taking into account for themselves. So that's one way of doing it. You can, some other options are, you can even mint your own currency, and which sounds a bit crazy, but in the sense, if you are able to mint your own currency, it kind of goes out of the traditional norm of the financial sector. But with that being said, you also have to make sure that you've got the necessary protocols and things in place that makes it credible, which kind of boils down again to the white paper. One of the most interesting, I would say, developments that creates the opportunity for the future of Web3 is the ability to be able to mint and own physical properties, or so to speak, token backed, asset backed tokens, which actually which is a token which is minted, that has a physical asset that is linked to it. So those are all types of options that you would be able to invest in or create, to be able to generate some sort of income for yourself. I mean, we've heard of the X Infinity, where you are able to play to earn. There are other applications out there, which is also very much Odyssey, which is very similar to YouTube, but it's actually linked to the blockchain. And what that does is, individuals or content creators, rather, that post videos or content on there, also earn some sort of token library, or a token in exchange for what they are submitting online. So those are just three examples of what, I would say, Web3 opportunities could provide in terms of cryptocurrency. There are also related options or related abilities to be able to make funds, which is through SaaS solutions, web advertising. There are revenue sharing and DeFi, for example. These are all concepts and revenue streams that users, creators, or just developers could actually take advantage of and utilize for their benefit.
It does make a lot of sense to be able to connect with those opportunities. But I'm thinking we understand what a social media platform on Web 2 would look like. I'm thinking if you were to go on a social media platform for Web 3, how would that compete with like a Twitter or a Facebook? Those are the best examples I can put out there. I'm just trying to create a mindset around what it would really be. Sorry, can you hear me?
I just lost you
Can you
there
hear?
momentarily. You said you,
Oh, I
yes, I can.
apologize.
Sorry, Titi.
Okay,
Sorry about
apologies.
that. You were
I
saying,
I was I was actually asking what you believe it's going to be like for a Web3 social media platform. What would it look like? Maybe, possibly, do you think there could be a competitor for Twitter or Facebook on Web3?
well, it's a very interesting question because the again Web3 is kind of still in a work in progress. The opportunities are endless in what is capable. I think it will always boil down to the principles of what Web3 is based on, which is again the decentralized component of that with the blockchain technology. So if you have the ability to be able to offer a service or to be able to compete in a social media against a social media giant like Insta or Facebook or Twitter, that is all relative to data information on individuals. Now, the principles of blockchain technology, which underpins Web3, is also an element of being anonymous in your engagements with your peer-to-peer transactions. And I think to a certain extent, it's one competing with the other, but in a completely different space. I would say that the component of social media has a link to identity, who the person and who the individual is, whereas blockchain technology doesn't actually have that capability. So they could be competing for the same type of audience, but it could be anonymous, so to speak. So I wouldn't want to put a cap on the capabilities or saying what it exactly would look like, because one would have to stretch one's imagination, because that's the endless possibilities that it provides, because it needs to be immersive. It needs to give the user a more in-depth experience in terms of what is being offered. So I think that's probably the best way I could answer that, Titi. But that's kind of where we
I
stand, or my
think
view
you
on
did.
that point.
I think you really connected there because of the fact that the most of the platforms, especially decentralized ones, are hinged on the issue of privacy and
Exactly.
being able to be anonymous to a certain extent. Anonymous yet transparent is the
Yes.
issue. Anonymous yet transparent feels like it feels like a paradox, sort of anonymous yet transparent. How
Exactly.
do you stay anonymous be transparent with your transactions? Well, let's look forward to what Web3 is going to be showing us in the near future. If you're wondering who you've been listening to, this is Brent Peterson. He is an attorney and notary public at the High Court of South Africa. He's a legal professional with quite a lot of legal experience. Now, his focus areas of practice are corporate and commercial law, cryptocurrency law, oil and gas law, property law, and competition law. So, yes, he is the right person to talk to with regards making sure we understand a little bit more about how this is going, especially since he currently acts as South African legal lead for Easy Crypto South Africa, which is a South African based crypto asset exchange retailer. Its roots were established in New Zealand, I believe. Yes? Tell us a bit
Yes,
about the
that's
background.
correct. Yeah, so Easy Crypto, I would say New Zealand or global, so to speak, was established by two siblings, Janine and Alan Granger, and they set up Easy Crypto to be able to offer services, to be able to assist people that want to get into the crypto space in I would say, in a simple, smart, and secure and safe way. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about, the crypto industry and hacks that have taken place. What I would say separates us is that we are non-custodial. We do not offer any sort of custodial services. Our clients remain in control of their wallet, and whatever orders they place, we send it directly to their wallet, so they remain in control at all times. And the objective of that, and particularly coming to South Africa, is that they viewed, South Africa and particularly Cape Town as the gateway into Africa, to make these opportunities available to people who have the appetite to get into the crypto space. So that is
Mhm.
kind of where we established. And they've done, in terms of the last few years, they've had the ability to acquire majority of the market in New Zealand, and that success has seen them to be able to
mm,
expand to South Africa, Australia, Brazil, Malaysia, and
mm.
that's what we kind of want to do. We want to roll out with the opportunities that has seen success in New Zealand, in countries such as ourselves and throughout Africa, to give those opportunities to them for financial freedom.
Those two words together, financial freedom, have been used quite a bit, confusing people and making people anxious, especially with the volatility of the market. And it was at one point a very risky area to go into.
Yes,
And did feel like there was a little there was a need for controls and regulations.
yes.
Comfortable on the sort of regulations you've had to deal with and prepare easy crypto for.
Oh, yes, I would be happy to do that. And that's a very good point that you raised about the financial freedom component. It's always important to make sure that users understand, the market volatility, and obviously the risks that are involved, which requires them to conduct, analyze and understand exactly the type of crypto that they would like to purchase. But with that said, the regulations in South Africa is actually unregulated to a certain extent. There are no dedicated laws in South Africa that regulate the industry, but we also see that it kind of competes in parallel with the financial sector. And obviously, the principles around it is that it's decentralized. We don't have any third party governments that are actually facilitating or authorizing these types of transactions. And one of the concerns was obviously with people being, I would say, scammed, because there's a lot of scams that do take place. The fact that individuals or crypto asset companies which offered custodial services exported capital. I mean, we all know about the Africrypt matter with regards to the two brothers. That they defrauded essentially a significant amount of their clients. Those are all examples where the regulator needed to kind of step in and bring the crypto asset industry into the South African framework. But with that said, the current regulations, the only one that would find applicability would be the exchange control regulations. And with that being said, the exchange control regulations needed some development to be able to provide a, a sense of clarity and assurance that the asset service providers need to comply with. And during the course of last year, SARB announced that there was a prohibition on exploitation of capital. And our concerns as individuals operating or industry players operating in the industry was that crypto asset doesn't actually fall within the definition of capital. But what has happened now is that there's been a significant amount of developments by SARB and the regulators in terms of a position paper that was published that has set out specific principles that they want to achieve within the next 12 to 18 months to bring the crypto industry into a more regulated environment. And those were the things that related to and money laundering and financing of terrorism, which were big things because, as we know, a lot of it's important to be able to identify who your client is and the source of funds that they are using to exchange for crypto. So what we've done is we've implemented very robust compliance requirements to an industry standard when we're onboarding clients, so we know who we're dealing with. And
Mm,
those types of regulations we are now seeing will cover the Financial Intelligence Center Act, which places an obligation on us, or Easy Crypto rather, and other crypto asset service providers to due diligence their client
mm,
before they actually engage in any sort of service. That
mm,
was one of the major, I would say, regulations that have come out in terms of crypto asset service providers having a place as an accountable institution to report suspicious transactions or unusual transactions or even suspicious activity when it comes to dealing with these transactions. And that has now
mm,
obviously
mm,
moved over to the element of actually considering and defining crypto assets as a financial product, which means that it would fall within a regulatory environment, and crypto asset service providers in the near future would be required to be licensed as a service provider for that particular financial product.
mm. So, licensing. Whenever you hear the word license and then you put it beside blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, it does tend to, get people to clash and start arguing about why, um, they don't want, licensing and all
Mhm.
this litigation and so many other things that come into, situations like this. But when we're talking about people's money, we talk about something that is extremely dear to them. And of course, a lot of people have been burnt in the past. Those hard realities about cryptocurrency would have made it a little harder for me to, make an investment as large as Easy Crypto. But I've checked out the site and I've seen some of the numbers there, and I do believe you guys are doing great. At this point, I have to wrap it up. We could keep this conversation going, but I would love to ask just any final comments, especially with regards DAO. Just let's wrap it up with that.
Yeah,
What do
so the
you think?
DAO is quite an interesting, concept that which is kind of being used. The DAO refers to a decentralized autonomous organization, and it's blockchain. It's a blockchain-based organization that is collectively owned and controlled by its members, where decisions can be voted on pertaining to particular investments. The DAO component,
Okay.
as far as blockchain technology is concerned, is that there are no sort of, I would say, CEOs or presidents of the company that has the final say. It actually gives the ability to the members to make decisions in terms of investments that they would like to invest in or consider. So that is quite important because it's built. The principle is that it has built-in resources that no one can access, without actually all the members' permission or consent. And any proposal that is actually considered are either approved or rejected through a voting process. And
Yep.
those voting processes essentially what sets out the rules and the policies to ensure that everyone in the organization has a say. So it is a system that actually runs on the Ethereum blockchain, and it was created
Okay.
to allow investors to send money anonymously from anywhere in the globe, and in return, tokens would actually be issued to those owners, which allow them to vote on potential initiatives and proposals. And essentially, the backbone of a DAO is that it operates, or it is linked to a smart contract, and smart contracts run with specific conditions that need to be met, and it's also stored on the blockchain. So,
Mm. Yeah.
with that being said, it kind of sets the basis of how we could see individuals moving to DAOs as an opportunity to be able to invest. And funny enough, I was reading an article on DAOs actually, where they said that in the near future, a majority of companies could adopt the principle of a DAO and actually eradicate the component of having a CEO,
Mm.
because it gives everyone that's a member equal right, equal votes to make decisions in the company. But I suppose that
Mm.
also boils down to the company's policies as well. So there is opportunity in that, and it has been
Mm.
implemented already.
Mm.
And that's something that also should be considered.
There is this saying that possibly smart contracts might replace the job of lawyers one day as well. Any worries
That's
about
kind of
that?
why I got into the space, Titi. So I can stay ahead of the game, and my job doesn't become
Oh.
redundant. But it's an exciting place to be in, or industry to be in, for an attorney, especially in South Africa, because the legislation is not there. So to be able to contribute or provide some sort of value in a very small way, kind of at least keeps the industry moving forward, and obviously to provide certainty and clarity in a very developed and innovative space. And that's essentially where I would love to be, and grateful that I am.
Yeah, I think where we are alive at a great time. A great time in technology, and a great revolution is happening, and we get to be part of it. Brent Peterson, everyone, SA operations and legal lead, easycrypto.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Titi. Appreciate it.
All right, then please join us again sometime soon. I'll be tagging you on LinkedIn. So I'll connect with you. If anyone has any questions or contributions or comments, please just tag us and we'll see if we can respond and answer your questions even better.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
then, Brent. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. So, quite a lot is happening in the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency, and we do what we can right here on blockchain to let you in on it before the train leaves the station. A little bit of news in the crypto world. Now, the US is asking Japan to pressure exchanges, miners working with Russia. Actually, the United States has urged Japan to put more pressure on cryptocurrency exchanges and mining companies that continue to work with Russians, and the US wants these Japanese entities to end their business relationship with Russia, thus adding to its financial isolation from the rest of the world. Now, the request was made by American diplomats and is targeting several of Japan's more than 30 licensed crypto trading platforms that are still present in the Russian Federation. Now, Financial Times revealed in an article recently, quoting people familiar with that matter, and US representatives told Tokyo to focus on halting crypto mining operations with Japanese participation in Siberian Oblast. Now, two knowledgeable sources said this. Now, the region is known as Russia's mining capital, and it's offering really cheap hydroelectric power and a cool climate as well, for which is prime for mining operations. So, yeah, just wanted to give you that little update there. And it's been a pleasure bringing you blockchain for today. I'm live quite a bit online for different reasons. Of course, I have blockchain. I also have World Market Index and some other reasons for being live right here on your screen right now. But until next time, happy trading.